Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. I very welcome my friends and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. This is my first Doctor Who video within months. I've been very disheartened with Doctor Who. The fandom, the show. I think if we look back at Doctor Who Lockdown, that opened my eyes a great deal, and I started to look at this fandom in different ways, but also the people who make the show. Chris Cornell, is it Cornell, right? Blocking a bunch of us. These are very sad things for me that have happened. And then I thought about it as I was on my patio having a cigarette last night. Terrible habit, I know. And I was thinking about the woman who fell to earth. The first Jodie Whittaker episode, the first 13th Doctor episode. And I was thinking, I actually like that episode. I think she's totally the Doctor in that episode. And the transition between her being, Capaldi's Doctor to her Doctor, and her getting used to it and meeting these new friends and then leading them astray in a way, and they're stranded in space at the end. I thought, this is awesome. Are we going to get a cliffhanger like this every week, right? Are they going to be stuck with the Doctor instead of choosing to travel with her? That's a new concept. That's good. That's exciting. But no. I want to know what changed in the BBC's and Chris Chibnall's mind. From a very, very good start. A very good start. It's like near the end of the episode when she goes, I'm just a traveller. She talks about her people, not having her people anymore. It was good. It was good. And she played it well. And the director did well with her as well. It was a good, solid, exciting episode. And I could watch that. I could embrace that Doctor. I could fall in love with that Jodie Whittaker 13th Doctor. And even the next episode was half decent. I thought it continued on those themes. Rosa was a very good episode. And then after Rosa, it all went downhill quickly. She became a very bland, repetitive, cringy Doctor. That's a shame, isn't it? From a really, really good start. So my question to you lot today is, what went wrong? What happened after the woman who fell to earth? It was so good. I believe it was. I liked that episode. I think it's a great start. But why did they change their minds? Why did he change his mind? And I'm not one of those who hated the season 12 finale. I thought it takes the Doctor to an exciting place. I know that certain decisions had been made, so he could say the Doctor's been a woman before, and a woman of colour before, and a man of colour before, and all of that. That's just a bit of representation. I'm not angry about that at the end of the day. But I think what he's he's creating this arc, this mystery. And we don't even know if she really is the timeless child yet. We've discussed this before. We don't even know if the Master has corrupted the Matrix or anything. He could be lying. So we don't know. But she could be the timeless child. I can live with that. I can absolutely live with all of that. It changes everything. I admit it. But I think it's quite ambitious. And I know I'm not going to win a lot of friends for saying that. And I'm not a clout chaser. I'm not... if you choose not to like that and be angry about that, that is your right as a Doctor Who fan. But you've got to be constructive and not be rude and insulting to the showrunner or the lead actor. That's important here, because nobody's going to listen to you. Because if you're truly pissed off that a woman is playing the Doctor, I can't be bothered, because that's not my issue. It never was my issue. I never went to bed at night going, I really want a female Doctor, but I was always, willing to be wowed, because at the end of the day, the Doctor can regenerate into a woman. We know that via the Master, and we were always told that. They nearly did that in Classic Who as well. We know that. So there's no issue there. The point being is that we had such a good start with the woman who fell to earth. And then 2 or 3 episodes later, we were going a different direction. And that's a shame. Because I do believe that was a good idea. To have these companions kind of dragged along for the ride, even though they didn't choose to go with her. And for a gradual friendship. And even maybe them being a bit bitter towards her because they didn't ask to come along on this journey with her. That would have been interesting, right? Bit like Tegan and Peter Davison's Doctor. She always wanted to go back home and he could never get her home. ultimately, in the end, she got there. And that's the thing, right? So, without all that, all of a sudden, these companions don't really have much of an aim. They don't have an arc. He took that away from them. He gave it to them. Then he took it away from them. And I don't get it. I don't get why he changed it. Because he set everything up really, really well. She arrives on the train. She's the doctor. She's acting like the doctor. It's okay. All right, it's still cringy in places, but they could have ironed those kinks out. We know that Jodie Whittaker can act. We know from Broadchurch and other things that she's done. But she's never led anything before. That's also an issue. But it's something that all show leads kind of can get better at. So that's not an issue either. The issue is really the showrunner and the decisions that he's made. And when you look at it, and when you look at that first episode, there were some really, really good things about it. Maybe you don't like the villain of that episode. I think he's okay. He's not the best villain. He's not memorable, but he was kind of the villain of that season because he turns up in the finale as well. Fair enough. It's not that bad. I thought the finale was okay. Anyway, the point being, the woman who fell to earth had strength. It had a direction. I felt Jodie was more of the Doctor than she's ever been. And slowly, ever since that 4th episode, Arachnids in the UK, I think it was, it's been watered down. And I don't get it. And the longer we go on, the more kind of perfect she was in season 11. Now, season 12, I must admit, he tried to give her more gravitas. He tried to give a challenge to her soul with this timeless child mystery. And I liked that. I was intrigued by season 12. Season 12 isn't a bad season. Absolutely not. There are a lot of ordinary episodes in that, but certainly better episodes than season 11. But it all goes back to the question, why did he change the tone and temper from the woman who fell to earth? A great beginning. There's a lot of people who like Jodie's Doctor, and quite right too. There's a lot of people who don't like Jodie's Doctor, and I'm just like, she's made. She's just doesn't work for me, really, since the woman who fell to earth. And that's always a shame because you're watching it out of loyalty to the show rather than enjoying what you're watching. And that's always a shame. I've always felt that New Who has been run by a country club. You know, Russell T Davies, Paul Cornell, all these people, Mark Gatiss, Stephen Moffat, these were very, very clever young men who were Doctor Who fans who did fan fiction and got themselves in the foot of the door and became the people who were leading the new age and new era of Doctor Who. And that was great when Russell brought the show back. That was great when Moffat was running it. Well, we've already seen the consequences of that when he was running it. But I think now, and I've said this before to you many, many months ago, that I think we need new leadership within Doctor Who because I think it's tired now and it's becoming a bad impression of itself. As I say, the mistake was after the woman who fell to earth because there was a good idea there. The companions had an arc being dragged along, but now they're just there. We're your friends, we love you, Doctor, you're the best person ever. But I don't know, really, why do they think that? I mean, Graham wants some sympathy for his cancer, and she says, well, you know, I'm not very good around people, or whatever. I forgot what she said, right? They were trying to make the point. That scene was to try and prove the point that she's still the Doctor and she still has the characterizations and the characteristics. But that's not how Doctor Who works, because that was them trying to prove that she's still the Doctor that we've always watched. But the problem is she doesn't show it often enough. And showing it in that way simply doesn't work. We remember the reaction, right? So we started off in The Woman Who Fell to Earth with a really good, potentially good version of the Doctor. At least it had solid foundations. But ultimately, in the end, we went to another direction. And I've never seen a Doctor forced up so many fans' noses trying to force us to like her. And that's the problem as well. And then you get Jo Martin being revealed as the Doctor. And the problem, of course, with that, everyone embraces her as the Doctor more than Jodie Whittaker. That's a problem as well. I think at this stage, I mean, I don't know how long they're going to go on with Jodie Whittaker. I don't know how long Chris Chibnall's going to run the property. I fear that Chibnall's here for the foreseeable. But let's see. I think Joe Martin will be the next Doctor. I think that's obvious. I think that's the right thing to do. I think we need that to happen as quick as possible. But the problem again is it's still Chris Chibnall who's going to be putting words in her mouth. That's the problem. Chibnall is a really good writer with a good imagination. But he's also very political minded. And that ideology, we saw it in latter seasons of Broadchurch, which ruined Broadchurch for me. And we've seen it again in certain episodes. This is where the problem is. This is the problem. He's not focused in making great Doctor Who. He's focused on his political ideology. And someone said the other day that they did a YouTube video and all people were doing is talking about politics. And of course, that's a shame. It shouldn't be that way. We should be talking about the show, the plots, the performances, the music, everything. That's what we should be talking about. It's interesting to me that Russell T Davies was able to push his political ideology in Who without smashing you over the head with it. But still you saw what he was doing and the points he was making. Very clever man. His era of Doctor Who was wonderful. It had a direction, it had an arc. Really from Eccleston's first episode to Tennant's last. Very interesting stuff. Because Davies is a genius. And Stephen Moffat is a genius. He strayed off sometimes, and I don't think he's a naturally gifted showrunner, but he's certainly a naturally gifted storyteller. But sometimes he just forgets he's telling a story for other people. That's the problem with Moffat. He forgets he's telling a story for an audience and he thinks he's telling a story for himself. And that's when the issues become a bit serious with Moffat running something. But in terms of him being a passionate Doctor Who fan and loving the show and trying his best to give the fans something, I believe he's genuine in that. And I just believe that Chibnall is not that kind of a person. So this is where we are now. Now, the ratings, I would say, are solid rather than terrible, but they're not brilliant either. Now, Doctor Who makes money, really, in all honesty, from the Blu-ray sales, from the merchandise, the sale of the show to Netflix and other streaming providers in other countries, international rights. This is where the money comes from. And with the amount of money they spend on each season since Chibnall's come, I'm assuming they're making some money, but nobody really knows. But for me, it's about entertainment. It's about doing right by the characters, by this character that people have been following for so many years. Even the people who just started following the show when Russell T Davies brought the revival back, right? Revived the show. And I think it's important we get back to storytelling. And then there's this other thing, where someone who works on the show says they can't come back right now to film it. It's not viable because of social distancing. Every soap has come back. All the American junior shows are coming back very soon to start shooting, I think September. But Doctor Who can't come back. It's not possible, apparently. Why? What makes Doctor Who so different? And so there's that as well. When will we see Doctor Who again? We know there's a special that's been done already. Nobody knows when that's going to be out. Christmas Day, New Year's Day. Fed up of debating that one as well. It's interesting that Matt Smith on a Zoom stream with David Tennant and Jodie Whittaker, ironically, said how much he loves the Christmas episodes. That was awkward. That was uncomfortable. But there you go. So even the people who previously played the Doctor know there's a problem. There's a problem all round. I don't think Chris Chibnall is going to change the way he does things. I don't think the BBC's mentality will change. But at least we've got Doctor Who that everyone's got versions of Doctor Who that they loved. And you've got collections, I'm sure, VHS, Blu-ray, DVD. But the future of Doctor Who is cloudy. The future of Doctor Who is cloudy because there's become this attitude within the entertainment industry, we don't care. We are going to scream out our political ideologies on our TV shows. We're going to turn them into whatever we want, whether you like it or not. We're going to put our point across. If you don't want to watch it, we'll take the loss. That seems to be the attitude now. So for right now, we're in this situation. Do we support Doctor Who? Don't we? I will continue to support it because I think season 12 was half decent. But if I was them, I would put Joe Martin into play as soon as possible. Comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back soon with more Doctor Who videos. See you again soon.